Welcome back to the channel Coins Collector everyone. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in American coin collecting history. We are going to talk about the 1977 Liberty Quarter Dollar, a coin that on the surface might look like an ordinary piece of change you would find in your pocket, but in reality it carries a story of rarity, history, and unexpected value that has blown away collectors and auction houses around the world. Imagine holding a simple quarter in your hand, a coin that normally buys you nothing more than a gumball or a parking meter tick, and realizing that this exact coin has been sold for over $755,000. Yes, you heard that right, a single $quarter dollar from 1977 has commanded a price that rivals the cost of luxury homes, classic cars, and even high-end jewelry. That is the power of numismatics, the study and collecting of coins, where history meets value and small details can make all the difference between pocket change and life-changing wealth. The 1977 quarter dollar belongs to the Washington Quarter Series, which first appeared in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design features the bust of Washington on the front with the word Liberty above his head and the date at the bottom. On the reverse side you see the powerful eagle with its wings spread wide, standing on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, a symbol of both strength and peace. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck over the decades, and the design became so familiar that people rarely gave it a second thought. But as with so many coins in American history, the true treasure lies not in the ordinary circulation pieces but in the rare varieties, the errors, and the pristine examples that survived the test of time. The year 1977 was no different in terms of minting. The United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters in Philadelphia and Denver, and almost every one of those coins went straight into circulation. People used them for bus rides, for pay phones, for groceries, and eventually most of them were worn down through decades of use. What makes the story truly captivating is that among those millions of quarters a handful turned out to be something very different, something so scarce and so special that collectors today are willing to pay astronomical prices to own them. Now when we talk about a 1977 Liberty Quarter being worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, we are not talking about just any ordinary coin from that year. The big money is tied to coins that are either in extraordinary condition, certified as mint state with flawless surfaces, or coins that feature unusual mint errors, striking anomalies, or proof-like qualities that set them apart from the rest. To the untrained eye these details might look like small scratches, off-center strikes, or unusual shine, but to experienced numismatists these details are the fingerprints of rarity. And when rarity meets demand, value skyrockets. Think about it. A normal 1977 quarter that has been in circulation is worth 25 cents. A nice uncirculated example, maybe $1 or $2. But when you get into the territory of coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at the very highest levels, the story changes dramatically. A pristine coin that has survived nearly half a century without a single blemish, with luster that looks as if it just rolled off the press yesterday, can bring in prices that make your jaw drop. Add in a rare error such as a double die obverse, a misaligned strike, or an unusual composition, and suddenly the humble quarter becomes a six-figure collectible. Collectors chase these coins not just because of their monetary value, but also because of the history they carry. The 1970s was a decade of change in America, from politics to culture to economics. Inflation was on the rise, the Cold War was still intense, and American coinage itself was in a period of transition. The silver content had already been removed from quarters a decade earlier, leaving them composed of copper and nickel. That meant their intrinsic metal value was low, but their numismatic value was still entirely possible if the right conditions aligned. Imagine being a worker at the mint in 1977, standing near those massive presses, the sound of coins striking again and again, hundreds of thousands per day. Every once in a while something unusual slipped through, a die that was worn or misaligned, a blank planchet that did not meet standards, or a strike so sharp and flawless it seemed almost proof-like. At the time no one thought much of it. These coins were bagged and shipped out, destined for cash registers and soda machines. But decades later, collectors discovered these rare survivors and realized they were holding miniature treasures. The most famous 1977 Liberty quarters that have reached record auction prices are examples graded in the top mint state categories. We are talking MS-67, MS-68, and higher, coins that are virtually impossible to find in circulation. In auctions, these coins have sold for staggering amounts, and the one that made headlines was valued at $755,000. That number turned the coin world upside down, because it reminded everyone that treasures are still out there, hidden in plain sight. Picture the excitement of a collector who pulls out a dusty old coin folder, flips through some forgotten change, and spots a 1977 quarter with unusually sharp detail and no wear. The thrill of sending it off for grading, the anticipation of seeing the results, and then the life-changing realization that this tiny piece of metal is now worth more than $500,000. That is the magic of this hobby. Now let's talk about the market today. The coin market in recent years has seen incredible growth, fueled by both dedicated collectors and investors who see rare coins as a safe haven for wealth. Precious metals, historical significance, and scarcity all play into the value. For the 1977 Liberty quarter, demand continues to climb because collectors want to complete their Washington quarter sets, and investors want coins with proven auction records. A coin that once slipped through hands unnoticed now commands attention in every major auction house. So what does this mean for you, the viewer? It means that the next time you get change from a store, the next time you sort through an old jar of coins in the attic, or the next time you inherit a collection from a relative, take a careful look. That ordinary 1977 quarter might be nothing more than pocket change, but then again, it might just be the rare specimen that collectors are chasing. Always check for mint marks, look for sharp detail, and if you believe you have something special, consider having it professionally graded. The world of numismatics rewards curiosity, patience, and knowledge. And the story of the 1977 Liberty quarter dollar is a perfect example of how a coin we overlook every day can suddenly become the star of the show, commanding attention, respect, and a price tag that changes lives. From its design rooted in American history, to its survival through decades of circulation, to its rise in value in the modern market, the 1977 quarter is more than just currency. It is history you can hold in your hand, and sometimes it is a fortune waiting to be discovered. So as we begin this deep dive into the world of the 1977 Liberty quarter, sit back, relax, and get ready to learn not just about a coin, but about the culture, the market, and the stories that make collecting so thrilling. Welcome back, and let us uncover together why this humble coin has become one of the most talked about pieces in modern numismatic history. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in United States coinage history. We are talking about the 1982 Liberty quarter dollar, a coin that most people might have once overlooked in their pocket change but which has grown into an absolute legend among collectors. Believe it or not, some examples of this very coin have been reported to reach values soaring as high as $424,000 in the numismatic market. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter that once bought a piece of gum or paid for a quick phone call is now worth nearly $500,000. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let us take a journey together through the background, the history, the details, and the fascinating marketplace surrounding the 1982 Liberty quarter dollar. I promise by the end of this video you will look at your change jar in a very different way. Now let us start with a little bit of context. The early 1980s were a turbulent time for the United States Mint. Inflation in the late 1970s and early 1980s had been eroding the purchasing power of coins, and the mint was experimenting with different production methods, different die preparation techniques, and even adjusting designs ever so slightly. The Washington quarter, which had been in circulation since 1932, continued to be the workhorse of American commerce. But in 1982, something unusual happened. The mint produced quarters at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, but collectors quickly noticed there were no mint sets issued that year. That meant that high-grade examples from the year 1982 were going to be difficult to find right from the start. Unlike many other years where collectors could set aside brilliant uncirculated coins directly from government-issued mint sets, in 1982 the only way to obtain coins was to pull them directly from circulation. That simple fact changed everything and turned coins from this year into modern rarities when found in pristine condition. The Denver Mint, which is identified by the small letter D below the date, struck millions of these quarters. However, striking millions does not guarantee that high-quality survivors will be around 40 years later. Most went straight into commerce, jingling in pockets, rolling through vending machines, rattling in cash drawers. Wear, scratches, and circulation damage destroyed any chance of those coins becoming treasures. But for the handful that remained untouched and nearly flawless, their scarcity in top grades has pushed them into the stratosphere of value. Collectors today search relentlessly for high-grade mint state examples of the 1982 D quarter. Coin grading services such as PCGS and NGC evaluate these coins on a 70-point scale, with grades above MS65 being particularly desirable. When a coin reaches grades like MS67 or MS68, the rarity becomes extreme. And when you add in strong luster, clean surfaces, and sharp strikes, the demand from serious collectors skyrockets. That is how we arrive at reports of coins bringing values of $424,000 in the open market. Now let us pause for a moment and think about that number. $424,000. That is the price of a luxury home in many parts of the country. That is the cost of an exotic sports car. Yet someone was willing to pay that kind of money for a single $250 struck in 1982 at the Denver Mint. What drives that kind of passion and commitment? The answer lies in rarity, condition, history, and the thrill of owning something that almost nobody else in the world has. One of the reasons the 1982 D Liberty quarter has become so valuable is the absence of official mint sets. As I mentioned earlier, that decision by the mint dramatically reduced the pool of high-grade coins available to collectors. Another factor is that in 1982 the mint was transitioning some of its die-making and planchet preparation methods. That means variations in strike quality, in luster, and even in surface marks were fairly common. Coins that happen to be struck with extraordinary quality and that survived untouched are simply not supposed to exist in large numbers. Collectors often compare the 1982 D quarter to other modern rarities such as the 1969 South Double Die Center or the 1970 South Small Date Center. These are coins where subtle circumstances at the mint combined with collector demand to create a perfect storm of value. For the 1982 D quarter, the storm came from the lack of mint sets, the huge attrition rate of circulation coins, and the almost impossible difficulty of finding superb gem examples today. The market today for this coin remains strong. Auction houses routinely see spirited bidding whenever one of these coins crosses the block. Online platforms buzz with activity as collectors hope to spot an overlooked gem. Coin dealers report that customers constantly ask about 1982 quarters and whether any superb examples are available. And whenever news of a record-breaking sale circulates, the excitement spreads through the numismatic community like wildfire. But what makes this coin even more interesting is how it captures the imagination of everyday people. Not everyone can afford to collect early gold eagles or ancient Roman coins. But anyone can search their pocket change or their old coin jars. The idea that a simple quarter from 1982 could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars is inspiring. It reminds us that history, rarity, and value can be hidden in the most ordinary of places. That is the magic of coin collecting. So if you are watching this video and wondering what you should do, here is my advice. First, check your change. Look carefully at the quarters dated 1982, especially those with the D mint mark. Examine them under good lighting. If the coin looks sharp, lustrous, and free of heavy scratches or wear, you might have something special. Of course, to truly know the value, the coin would need to be submitted to a professional grading service. But the first step always begins with your own careful eye. Secondly, educate yourself. The more you know about coin grading, strike quality, and numismatic history, the better prepared you will be to recognize a treasure when you see one. There are countless resources available today, from books to online guides to video content just like this one. The story of the 1982 D Liberty quarter is not just about one coin, it is about the broader world of how small details can create massive differences in value. And finally, never lose your sense of wonder. Coin collecting is a hobby built on curiosity and discovery. Whether you find a valuable rarity or simply build a collection that you enjoy, the journey is what makes it worthwhile. The 1982 D quarter is proof that the most ordinary coin can become extraordinary when history and circumstance align. So as we continue in this video, we will dive deeper into specific grading examples, we will talk about record auction results, and we will even look at how you can increase your chances of finding valuable coins in circulation. But I wanted to start today by sharing the incredible background story, because every great coin deserves to be appreciated not just for its price tag but for its place in history. And remember, every time you pick up a coin you are holding a piece of art, a piece of history, and a piece of potential treasure. The 1982 D Liberty Quarter has taught us that the smallest details matter and that extraordinary value can be hiding in plain sight. So stay tuned because we are just getting started, and by the end of this video you may be inspired to start searching, collecting, and perhaps even dreaming about finding your own rare coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.